Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the president we were told would pioneer the end of American interventionism.
Very important. You know, we have a couple of bases on Greenland already, and we have quite a few soldiers, and maybe you'll see more and more soldiers go there. I don't know. What do you think about that, Pete? So, don't answer that, Pete. Don't answer that question.
And yes, if you're wondering how those remarks played with US investors in an already tumultuous week, I give you these remarks from Fox Business.
Getting down to close to session lows. The Dow is down about 540 points. Folks, it is the S&P that appears to be about to close in correction territory, down 76%. We will see what happens tomorrow.
Translation, they're in free fall.
Since last July, I was talking about a correction that would happen in early 2025. So this correction is overdue. Nothing to do with Trump, nothing to do with tariffs.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I'm going to say this at risk of my job, Kelly, but what President Trump is doing is insane.
Trump held another presser today in which he covered the usual subjects, right? You know, none of the things that he promised would have already been accomplished by now, like lower prices, end of inflation, etc. But the other stuff, you know, the fine print, more tariffs on Canada, Europe, and the acquisition of Greenland.
And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states. Maybe our greatest state.
On tariffs, you made clear you're not backing down from this, but many American small business owners say they are concerned that these tariffs are going to hurt them. What's your message to them?
They're going to be so much richer than they are right now. But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this, yes.
And the main part of our discussion today is with the latter, seeing as he spent a lot of time rambling about it today, as well as posing cryptic hypotheticals on acquiring land in Ukraine.
Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia. And we have, not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost and all of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, a very big power plant involved. Who's going to get the power plant and who's going to get this and that? And so, it's not an easy process.
While downplaying a meeting between Iran and Russia in China to discuss nuclear programs. But don't worry, guys. Trump believes that said regimes ran by authoritarians are actually just wanting to meet, get round the campfire to discuss de-escalation tactics.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Leaders from Russia and Iran are heading to Beijing tomorrow to discuss nuclear programs. What do you hope to get out of that?
Well, maybe they're going to talk about non-nuclear programs. Maybe they're going to be talking about the de-escalation of nuclear weapons, because, I was talking about that with President Putin very strongly.
Right, and Elon's kids are counting the days to Thanksgiving. Anyway, back to Greenland. Trump made several remarks about acquiring the territory, even going as far as to allude to NATO leader Mark Rutte, who was sitting next to him, helping in the acquisition, to which Rutte basically said, nah.
What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential?
Yeah, well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
There's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did So when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for Meidas' discussion because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there and we have to be there.
See, Trump has not let up on his aggressive rhetoric toward the self-governing Danish territory, going as far as to bring it up during his address to Congress earlier this month. The president even attempted to appeal to the, quote, incredible people of Greenland, telling them that they had a say in their future, which gives us the perfect opportunity to bring back this video.
And the hot topic here has been President-elect Trump's comments about buying this Danish territory. Take a listen.
A lot about Trump and also their opinion about Trump.
I hate it. And basically, I don't know what he's aiming at.
Me personally, I want to stick with Danish government.
Well, most of the people that we talked with said that they did not support Trump's comments and found them offensive.
Og jeg kan læne mig fuldstændig op af Kim Kielsens udtalelse. Selvfølgelig er Grønland ikke til salg, og i øvrigt er Grønland ikke Danmarks. Altså Grønland er grønlændernes. Og Kim Kielsen har jo sagt det meget klart, selvfølgelig bliver der ikke noget tale om noget som helst frasalg af Grønland.
The thing is, his chaotic approach to foreign policy, completely antithetical to what he said he'd do during the campaign, by the way, partnered with his tariffs. Investors are past spooked. They're outright petrified. And the market represents that.
And if you have different people in the administration giving different messages, I mean, the Commerce Secretary and the President are having different messages on the same day. That's not giving the market any sort of ease or certainty for investors. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an even greater crash.
We should let Jonathan keep talking because the market's come back 50 points.
There you go. There you go.
But obviously, the Dow is 1,500 points below where it was when Donald Trump took office.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
Prices we are seeing represent that.
And we also expect the White House to try to reassure folks who are sitting there looking at their 401ks going down and down and down.
Breaking news, what started as an ugly day on Wall Street has turned downright hideous. Broad-based selling across the board, and you could call it a sinkhole that's opened up under the NASDAQ. With 59 minutes left to trade, the tech-heavy index is down. This is a big percentage loss here, 4.6% or 845 points. But I want you to turn your attention to the S&P 500 that really got traders squirming. The broader index down 188 points. So basically what that indicates to you, and yes, we are at the lows of the session, it has now fallen below its psychologically important 200-day moving average. That's considered a sell signal. Now, the sell-off triggered in part by the signal President Trump sent this week during an interview with Fox News when he declined to rule out a recession. Investors turned tail at the opening bell, selling large cap stocks and just about everything else. But let me show you the Dow Jones Industrials. We have a 4-digit loss in the Dow Jones Industrials at the moment, 1,439 points just chopped off that index. We now stand at 41,759. The Dow has now turned negative for the year. We do have to say, though, not all the blue chips have turned red, but this is a major percentage smackdown. Apple is taking. Look at NVIDIA. Okay, so we'll go to the laggards here. Apple down 5.7%. And then you can see NVIDIA, it is the biggest laggard here, down nearly 6%. But don't ignore the fact that Goldman Sachs is getting absolutely crushed here, down 5.9%. All of the big financials, American Express down 5.5%. JP Morgan down also more than 5%. But the Dow, it's stuck in the mud.
What do you hear from those same conservatives who touted Trump as the president of peace? Crickets.
It is absolutely insane. It is about the 8th reason we've had for the tariffs. And now he's saying he's putting 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state. That is insane. There is just no other way of describing it. And the trouble, Kelly, is that it shows there are no bounds around President Trump. This is very different from the first administration, where there were people around him who seemed to I don't know what the word is, but smooth over some of the edges now. And the other thing that's not talked about, Kelly, is what's going on within the administration in terms of how they're treating the Constitution and laws. I think all of that is bad for the attraction of capital.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.